This is the Keedox outdoor Bluetooth speaker. I wanted to show you what came with the device. This is the speaker itself, of course, here. They provide a micro charging cable, of course, an auxiliary cable, male to male, and a pretty decent instruction manual. Actually, one of the better ones I've seen for these types of speakers. Um, the out of the box, I took this out of the box. This is a pretty tough looking speaker. It's wrapped with some silicone webbing on the front of the speaker here, and it's got some silicone rubberized all the way around it. That really, I would think that this would hold up to most rough and tumble, drops and being carried around for hiking pretty well. The only place I would think it would be vulnerable here would be where this knob would be. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty tough looking, and it's got a little bit of weight to it, but it's not heavy. It's about a pound. I mean, it's not heavy, but it does feel like it's got some heft to it to show that it can be, handled being dropped and stuff like that. This also says it's waterproof. Now, I wouldn't go and leave this in water for a long period of time, of course, but I did test it by dunking it in a sink of water for a little bit of time, a minute or so, and took it out, and it still played. So it is, I would say, water resistant. I don't know if it would be exactly waterproof, but it did handle that and still play. Charging for this is fairly quick, a little over an hour to charge. Unlike what another reviewer stated about pairing, I didn't have an issue with this pairing with my Galaxy S4. It paired within a few seconds of me powering on this device, which is powered on underneath this little flap here. There's a little off-on switch along with the charging port and the auxiliary port. So you can flip that on. The device flashes at the top here, a blue light saying it's ready to pair. And I found it paired fairly quickly. The Bluetooth range is actually really good. I tested this basically as far as I could walk on the floor I'm on here into the other corner of this floor of this house, which is a good distance, at least 50, 60 feet away. And the speaker still played, even going around some corners and all that. So I consider that a pretty good range for this device. Sound-wise, on both Bluetooth and the auxiliary cable, which I connected to my iPod, was pretty good, although the volume level at higher volumes, it distorted a little bit and didn't have quite as much bass as what I've heard from other smaller type speakers like this. It wasn't bad sounding by any means, but again, compared to some others I've heard, this had a little bit of distortion and lacks a little bit of bass, but it was okay. Battery life is pretty decent. I got somewhere around the 7 to 8 hour range for the battery and music playing time. The speakerphone capability for these, especially with this being waterproof, or it says it's waterproof, actually was pretty good. The calls were fairly clear on both ends of the conversation, so that's good. The mic itself is actually located on the top here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on my webcam, along with additional volume speakers and like a play pause button. I'm not exactly sure. What confuses me a little bit is there's also a volume. This knob is also a volume button too. I'm not exactly sure why they included both on this device. I mean, maybe there's some purpose. I mean, I kind of like the knob feature, but I'm not exactly sure why there's two volume controls for this. The problem here with the buttons, at least on the top, is, I'll bring this up real close here. It's really hard to see what they are, and even on the webcam, I know it's hard to see on the webcam, but even me sitting here looking at this closely, I can't tell you what each of these buttons do. It's really hard to see the descriptions of these buttons. They do not stand out on this device. They could have done something to make them either stand out with some coloring on the buttons to show what they do or something. But it really blends in way too well and makes it really difficult to see what each button does. Overall, I think this is a pretty good, tough, solid speaker. And the one thing I want to do before I forget is also has a hanger on it, on the end here by the volume, this secondary volume button for hanging the device up, which is kind of a cool feature. So you can hang it up outside or whatever. I think overall this is a pretty tough, solid speaker. Good for taking outdoors, hiking, or in a rough hiking where you've got a lot of banging around maybe, or bouncing around in a backpack without having to worry about this thing being damaged, because it seems like it could take the damage and take some weather as well without bothering the speaker. Other than the volume, the buttons on the top being difficult to see, and the speaker sound could be a little better overall, I still think this is a decent speaker, and I give it 4 stars.